everybody, it's Monday, February 28th, and that means it's time for another episode of Chatting with Agnes and Cecilia Nonprofit Conversations. I'm your host, Cecilia Sub. I'm the principal and founder of Road Tulips Nonprofit Consulting. My co-host, Agnes Amos Coleman, can't be with us today. So on behalf of Agnes, I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global audience, wherever you may be. Thanks for listening or watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Today, we're here with first-time guest Stuart Ruff-Lyon of RIMS, and we are going to talk about a 2022 update on the meeting industry. Welcome, Stuart. Would you like to say hello and tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you, Cecilia. Well, hello, everyone. Again, I'm Stuart Ruff-Lyon. For the past nearly 10 years, I've had the privilege of leading the RIMS Events and Exhibitions Department, in which we produce several different shows a year, but our main show being our annual conference, which I think we'll talk a little bit more about during this episode about the rebrand and the restructure we've done of that particular event. But I've been in the industry now for more than 20 years. I'm a past chairman of the board of PCMA, and I am passionate about all things events, particularly anything related to face-to-face events, and I'm passionate about event experiences as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, welcome, Stuart. And we have been talking a lot about meetings and events on the show the last year and a half, as we can all imagine why, as we're hitting year 2 of the pandemic regulation period. So you've already touched on the fact that RIMS has rebranded its annual conference. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what drove you to do that?
Sure, Cecilia. That's been quite the journey for us. We have been every year slowly remodeling the annual conference experience and everything to really make it more experiential and things like that for our attendees and guests. And that's been going on for quite a while. We were not quite at the point of being hybrid before the pandemic hit us, however. So as we look into 2022, and this will be our first annual conference in 2 years, we had to cancel in 2020 and 21, we pivoted to virtual like most people did.
Wow.
But for 2022, we are going to be a completely hybrid event, and really with breaking down those barriers of attendance and making it more inclusive, we believe. Also looking more at our DE&I initiatives and things like that. We're trying to, expand our audience. We felt it was a good time to rebrand our event. So instead of the RIMS annual conference and exhibition, we're now going to be known as RIMS Risk World, which I think really indicates the world of risk management, the world of potential that's out there for business insurance and risk management, even in light of the pandemic right now. Bringing people together is more important than ever in that kind of space, right? They all need to learn from each other and talk to their brokers and insurers and things like that. So Risk World really is intended to break down that barrier of attending the event. It's a lower price point. You don't have the T&E expenses, obviously. So we're hoping it's going to be a win-win for our large global audience.
Well, that is such a great idea too. And I love the name, by the way. Was that your idea?
Actually, it was, yes. We did work with an outside marketing company as well to help with some testing of different names. And it was quite a journey on that as well. We had involved our board, our top exhibitors, things like that to really try to get a new name going. But Risk World was the name that I came up with before the whole exercise began, and it just ended up just winning out in the end. So yeah, I'm real happy with the name.
Oh, well, congratulations on that. That's a great rebrand. I love that name. As you can tell from the name of my company, I like to have a little fun when
Yes.
we're branding things. So, well, you talked about how now Risk World coming up in 2022, everyone, if you want to check it out at the RIMS website, you said it's completely hybrid now. So hybrid means different things to different people. So can you tell our audience what hybrid means to RIMS?
Sure. What it means to us is we have found what we believe is the right partner for us on technology and networking to bring our educational programming to a virtual audience, but also allow that virtual audience to engage with the in-person audience more and more through technology and things like that. So we will be doing roughly half of our program available on virtual and on demand. At a different price point for those who cannot attend the Risk World, either due to travel budget cuts or fear of variants or whatever it may be. So yeah, I totally lost my train of thought there. So I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It tends to happen on this show, believe me, because we jump around from topic to topic. No, but that really sounds very much like what a lot of people say hybrid is. Last year, I earned a certification in virtual event planning because chasing CAE renewal credits, of course. But I also try to learn about things that's not really my area of specialty, so to speak. And their definition of hybrid was very clear in that virtual participants get to see what's going on in real time at the
Right.
in-person conference. And so that's why I always like to ask people, well, so what do you mean by hybrid? Is it just there's a virtual aspect where people can participate virtually or do it on demand? Do they have a separate program? Is it the same
Sure.
program recorded?
Yeah.
So is it kind of like what you're doing? Is it a separate virtual program?
Ours is a hybrid model, I guess. It's we're doing some live content with our keynotes and our main streaming sessions and things like that. Some sponsor sessions will be available live as well. Most of them will be available within a couple of hours of having been delivered live at the conference. So we're playing with that right now. The program is still in works. So we're actually launching it just this week, actually. So check out the RIMS website for more information on that. Yeah, so we're excited about the opportunities that technology is going to bring us or enable us to engage a virtual audience with our in-person audience. So for example, they'll be working from the same mobile apps and platforms to engage with speakers and ask questions of speakers and engage with each other and chat with each other and things like that and try to build their network just as they would if they were in person. So we're excited about being able to offer those features and really trying to make this a really meaningful hybrid conference experience for those participating virtually, because we know everyone's right now, let's just face it, there's a lot of virtual burnout out there right now, right? So really it's incumbent upon planners that are in this to really make sure that virtual hybrid experience is top notch and second to none and really engaging and experiential for the attendees.
Well, and I really am happy to hear you say meaningful, because any part of the member experience has to be meaningful.
Right.
For people to find value, they have to see meaning, because value is so subjective. It's like I like to say, and people don't like to hear this necessarily, but everybody belongs to a different association because we each individually have a different experience. So we're all defining value based on what we're looking for. So finding that baseline meaning for everyone is, I think, the key to a successful event of any kind. So as we're looking forward to 2022, Stuart, you've already rebranded to Risk World, which again, love that name. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people start doing risks on your brand there for their annual conference. But the fact that you completely rethought your annual conference and said, let's do it differently, because look at the situation we're in right now. And frankly, we just don't know when this is going to change. What people like to use the phrase new normal, but it's like Doc Holliday said in the movie Tombstone, there's no normal life, Wyatt, there's just life. So as we're going forward with life in 2022, do you see anything else? I know you've been really focused on rebranding and remodeling basically your annual conference, but what are the other things that you're paying attention to in 2022?
Well, not to give a shameless plug for RIMS, which is the Risk Management Society, but obviously every planner out there right now needs to be paying more attention to risk management than ever before and really trying to dig deep into what these new policies may mean or laws may mean in certain states or certain cities, and exactly how you can run your convention or your event. Paying more attention to what they're going to do if somebody gets ill on site, paying more attention to proof of vaccination and things like that. There's all these new things that people really have to think about as we bring the world of events back together in person. So I think that really understanding the full risk assessment of your event and everything is definitely paramount for planners in 2022. In addition to that, I would say the whole communications plan is obviously changing, and we more than ever we have to be nimble and flexible because things are changing on such a rapid basis. You know what I mean? It's not like it used to be where you would have your project plan for your event and it ran just so smoothly. And now you're getting all these other balls in the air thrown at you about this city is now requiring proof of vaccination, or this city wants a mask indoors, whatever it may be. But it's incumbent upon us as the planners of these to deliver those events in a safe manner. And that with that comes a lot of risk management responsibility.
Well, and then you're balancing safety with quality. Because do you find that it's easy to get too distracted on following all the regulations as opposed to making sure there's good content?
I do. Actually, that's interesting you say that. I have had to pause and stop myself sometimes before because it is pulling our focus in a different way. Like normally the focus is all about content and content is king and building your event around that, designing experiences. But now you're right. All these new things are being thrown at us. So we have to plan, and it is sort of distracting to taking attention away from the content piece of things sometimes. But I'm fortunate that I work with a really stellar group of programmers and everything, either at REMT or through an advisory board we have. So our program our agenda has remained intact and on point, I think, right now for the times that we're in. But definitely, it's just a lot more work now. It's the same amount of work before as to bring an event together, but now we're adding this whole virtual hybrid component. We're adding this new safety and security component to things, right? So it's just, it's just a lot more balls in the air right now as we bring conventions back.
Well, see, and that's a really good point, because I've been talking to a lot of people, of course, over the last couple of years, and everybody says doing a virtual presentation sometimes takes more work than doing an in-person presentation, because you can't always play off the audience because people tend not to talk as much when they're on camera. You're in a virtual event, you tend to listen more than participate unless there's a lot of activities and things. So people find that they're spending more time getting ready for virtual, despite the fact we were doing virtual for years. AKA webinars. We were doing online webinars and thought, oh, this is a great service, but we never thought about it as being virtual. But again, the member experience, and I've been saying this for a long time, has always been virtual because the members didn't come to the office every day. We communicated with them by phone, letter, email, sometimes fax, if you work in the healthcare area. So I think I'm working up to a question for you, Stuart. Changing our mindset to encompass the fact that we have been doing all these things already, but we're now doing them consciously. So how have you seen your mindset evolve in that direction?
I'm constantly having to assess and reassess things that I'm doing. And, honestly, like I said, I mentioned project plans before, and any large scale citywide convention like Risk World requires a robust project management plan. But now it's like more than ever, things are constantly changing and shifting. And I myself need to make sure that I'm adaptable and nimble to things, that I'm trying to be as proactive as possible and not reactive to things that are popping up, right? So my mindset is really, shifted from being one that was more, I don't know, it took me to try to put this into words, more of one that was about overall project management, and now more of one that's more holistic about the entire event. It's not just about the project and deliverable dates and the content. It really is one now that, again, is about safety, security, policies and regulations related to COVID and things like that. So it's definitely expanded my skill set for sure, this whole pandemic.
Well, and I think rising to a challenge makes us better professionals.
That's very true.
And now this is not the kind of situation we would like to see ourselves in, living with a global pandemic and having a lot of uncertainty and having a lot of regulations. But on the other hand, it does challenge us to be adaptable. And that is something I think we always have to be in the nonprofit profession.
That's true.
So as we're getting ready to wrap up, because believe it or not, we're almost at the end of our episode for this week. As we're getting ready to wrap up, you talk a lot about risk management. COVID, of course, is the top layer, because as you've already mentioned, every city and every state has different rules and regulations. And then you also have to measure the comfort level of your members and other attendees. But what are some of the other risk areas that you have to keep in mind as a meeting planner in addition to COVID safety?
Well, working for a place like REMS and risk management, we've always taken safety very, very seriously. So we always partner with local police departments and local forces like that. We always have plainclothes police officers as part of our meeting experience, regular uniformed police officers. We do bomb sniffing dogs on our loading decks and all that kind of our loading docks.
Wow.
So we've always taken security very seriously, and depending on the city and where you go, every city brings with it a new challenge, not just from the COVID perspective and how they're managing it, but also from the safety and security of the participants and the neighborhood the building may be in, or whatever that may look like. So we've always taken that part very seriously. We want to make sure we know everybody who's coming into our building at any given time, who they are, why they're there, kind of thing, right? So more than ever, that's becoming increasingly important. As you said about COVID being that top layer, because, for example, Risk Roll will take place in San Francisco at the Moscone Center, and there it is required that anybody in that building be vaccinated and proof of vaccination in advance. So we're having to rethink how we're doing registration, how we're going to be doing crowd control, things like that, as part of our risk management assessment as well.
That's really interesting. So just a quick follow-up question to that. Are you requiring that all the staff, and I don't mean your staff, I mean the staff who work at your meeting site, do they also have to prove they're vaccinated?
That's correct. Everybody
Okay.
does. They'll have to provide proof of vaccination in order to enter the building and to work in the building per San Francisco requirements as of right now.
Wow, that is really, that's the sort of thing, as a person who's not a professional meeting planner, like my friend and co-host Agnes, I don't necessarily think about that stuff. And I think a lot of people in our audience might not be thinking about that. So
Yeah.
that's great. Well, we're at the end of our episode already, Stuart. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for joining us. And as we like to do at our wrap up, is we like to ask our guests, what's the one thought you would like the audience to take away today? And if they wanted to follow up with you and talk more about meeting planning, how could they get in touch?
Sure. I think the key word for 2022, as it was in 2021, frankly, is about adaptability and flexibility, because things are changing so frequently right now. With the COVID situation, with different policies and regulations enacted in different cities, like we talked about, or different buildings, different venues, we have to all learn to be a little more flexible and maybe not as rigid in our timelines of planning as we have been in the past. I think, it's one of the things that we're looking at more and more, like I said, about our project plans, are these new things that are popping in there that are pushing things back, delaying things, a domino effect of, different things in our plans. But, being flexible and adaptable to the current situation, I think, is key. And, like I said, I'm passionate about events. I love events. I love the experience of delivering events. I love creating experiences for people. And if anybody wants to learn anything more, they can find me on LinkedIn. We're happy to chat more about that, or just email me at sruff-lyon@rims.org.
Hey, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Stuart. This has been a really wonderful conversation. I think it's a great midpoint of the first quarter of 2022 conversation as well. And we look forward to having you back. I think we need to have you back to discuss World and how that went.
Yeah, definitely.
And report back on that. So thank you so much. And we look forward to your return on a future episode. But for now, we have to go rogue. So thank you for joining us this week. Don't miss next week's episode. We're here most Mondays, unless it's a major holiday. But don't forget to subscribe. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can find us on anchor.fm or Spotify. We're available in both video and audio formats. If you'd like to learn more about Rogue Tulips Consulting, check us out online at roguetulips.com. If you're looking for CAE courses for renewal or exam preparation, please check out our website, the501cleague.net, where we offer a variety of CAE study groups and CAE courses. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.